Hello, hello, it's Julie Davison from juliedavison.com. Welcome to Thursday Night Stamp Therapy. It is Thursday, May 15th, 2025, and I'm so happy you are joining me this week. This video is pre-recorded because I'm enjoying the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip in Orlando, Florida this week, but I just couldn't help but to share with you. I'm so excited about this new annual catalog, and recently I got to present at a demonstrator event hosted by Shannon West in Peoria, Illinois, and I presented with Mary Ellen Stites and Meg Lovin, and Shannon asked us to share ways that we are inspired by the annual catalog. And so today I want to share with you the projects that I shared during that presentation and some of the ways that I'm inspired by the annual catalog. Now, I've mentioned this so many times before. I've been a demonstrator for 23 years, almost 23 years, and the catalog used to be called the Idea Book and Catalog because it was meant to be a source of inspiration. And I hope that you still find inspiration in the catalog. Every time there's a new printed catalog, I challenge my team to case the catalog. I like to define case, C-A-S-E, as copy and selectively edit. And so when I'm looking at the catalog, I'm always looking to see how I can tweak the ideas that are presented there and kind of make them my own. So we're going to do a little bit of that today, but I want to start by sharing one of the first places I think you can look for inspiration, and that is the catalog template on page 24, right here. We have had catalog we've had card templates in the catalog for the last few catalogs now, and I always find them to be so inspiring. I actually took a little screenshot and I made a printable sheet of them so that I could have them handy. And I'm going to show you, actually, I made some changes to the templates. But first, let's just talk about the templates as they are. These actually were made for the ephemera packs, which are such a great way to get started with stamping. And if you look on the next two pages, you're going to see lots of card ideas using the ephemera packs. And these layouts are all the basis for the card and tag templates that are down here. So if you're looking to see those inspiration, then that's where you're going to find it. So Mary Ellen and Meg and I each chose the same card layout, and then we each made a card featuring that layout. So the layout that we chose was this one here. And I was kind of inspired by the sample with the clouds and the bike over here. And that's sort of like the three blocks. That's kind of the little template here. And so the card that I created was using one of the new stamp set bundles from the online exclusives. So let me put the catalog aside for a second. Online exclusives came out at the same time as the catalog. We have two additional suites as well as lots of bundles, including this Sunrise Sailing Hybrid Embossing Folder and Die Set. We're going to use lots of these online exclusives tonight. And if you would like to download the flyer, click the link in the video description to download this printable flyer. I always find it to be so handy to have something to look at with my catalog, and so I like to print them out. The best way to see what's available is just to go in my online store, juliedavison.com/shop. But if you would like to have a printed flyer of the products that are released all at the same time, you can check that out. All right, so Sunrise Sailing includes a photopolymer stamp set with some amazing images of sailboats, some coordinating dies, including two little wave dies, and an embossing folder where the die fits right inside so you can die cut and emboss at the same time. Now, we've seen these hybrid embossing folders before, and so this one is very similar to that. The die fits in there, and you can stamp and die cut and do it all at once. So we're going to do that today. I've got some pieces ready to go. I did cut ahead of time, but I wanted to stamp the sailboat and do that live. So I've got Secret Sea for our card base. This is a new in color. And of course I brought in some cloud cover. Here I just took this piece and I just embossed it here with the bottom of the embossing folder. So this is kind of the bottom block of that card layout. And then I brought in some die cut clouds to be the other two elements. So we're kind of like 3 different blocks. Our main focal image is going to be of the sailboat. So let's stamp that. I'm using Secret Sea, Darling Duckling, Pecan Pie, and a little bit of cloud cover. I have used the ink refill and an empty Stampin' Spot to create my own little ink pad. But we're going to start with Secret Sea, and we're going to stamp the outline of the sailboat. And that's going to be right in the center. Love it. Love it. While I've got this open, let me also stamp my words. So inside the card, it's going to say, "You're destined for great things." And on the little Darling Duckling, we're going to stamp "Ahoy." Perfect. Let's get out the Darling Duckling and stamp some stripes on our sailboat. I love 2-step stamps because you can color really easily and it's just effortless. I wanted to get a little bit more on there. Did a little fancy double stamp in there to get it just right. And I brought in Pecan Pie for the base of the boat. And just adds a little color in there. I told you I got my cloud cover little ink spot out because I'm going to do the waves at the bottom of the inside. So little cloud cover waves just to kind of tie in that color from the front. So kind of bringing in that element. Okay, let's do our die cutting. I'm going to take our die and set it down here. It kind of just nests right into place. And this is the tricky part, holding the die in place while I scoot my stamped image to line up just right in the die. That looks good right there. And so I'm going to close the embossing folder and I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine. I always run the fold through first because that way all the pressure can have a way out as it rolls through. It can come out the end. Now, if you do it the other way, all that pressure, you're going to bust your fold. So make sure the fold goes in first. And I'm going to just reach down. I've got it on my floor. So I'm just going to reach down and die cut this. And here it is. Now, it is very subtle to see the embossing on the sailboat because it's mostly just kind of adding some depth to the sail and also to the boat a little bit. You can see it a little better when I turn it over, but with the stamped image, it's kind of hard to see that extra dimension that it gives. Okay. Let's get our card all put together here. I gotta play with this some more. There's some great little detail dies in here. And I used the seagulls here on my sample card to die cut right through the card base, but we're gonna do something a little different today. And then you can decide which way you like it better. Let's add the inside first. You're destined for great things. We've got some high school graduations coming up, and I think this is such a perfect sentiment for a graduation card. The embossed image is going to go right in the center, centering from the sides and the bottom. And then I'm also going to add some regular Stampin' Seal adhesive underneath the clouds, and we're going to stagger those like that. Next up, we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals underneath the sailboat. And we'll attach that kind of to the right, I think, overlapping the cloud. And then for our ahoy, we're going to just cut the end. This was a 3/4 inch strip, and just going to cut that down and add that with a couple dimensionals. Oops. This is going to kind of be over here. And you'll see when I pull the inspiration out again, how that sentiment kind of works together with the card layout. Okay, so there's our finished card. Of course, we need some bling. I am using the birds and dragonflies. These are an online exclusive, and I just love them. You can tell I've been using the birds a lot more than the dragonflies. I'm going to have to change that because I got all these dragonflies, but I love how the birds look on this card, going around the clouds and the sailboat. But here is my original card. I was stamping with Meg Lovin, and she suggested, she said, use that little seagull die and die cut so you can see through to the inside of the card. I thought that was just such a clever idea. And you can see in the back that my clouds covered up. So I did each die twice. It's a die that has all 3 birds. So I did it twice, and then I covered them up with a cloud so you only see 3 on the front. So this or that, do you prefer the embellishment birds or do you prefer the die cut birds? Let's bring the catalog back out. I'm going to show you that inspiration card layout again, and so you can see some of those elements. Oops, wrong card. You can see some of those elements. The bottom piece I made a little bit longer, and then the clouds are round instead of boxy, and then the sentiment is over in that direction too. Now, I looked through the catalog, and like I said, there are those ephemera samples here on page 26 and 27, but I thought surely these card layouts appear somewhere else in the catalog. And so what I found was we have a very similar layout here on page 110. So if you remember that layout, actually, let me get this out. The layout, we have the 3 blocks and the sentiment. And so this is very similar to that. It has 3 blocks that are inked up with the clear block and then the sentiment to the side. Well, I love that sample so much, I decided I would case it. So here I created a version that I copied and selectively edited. I used Lost Lagoon for the card base, which I think is the same color they used here. And I did the same technique with the blocks, but instead of spritzing, I just stamped to the ink pad and to the cardstock. I switched up and used a different stamp set here, the Beautiful Blooms, and the motifs stamp set from the Beautiful Gallery. So I've got Secret Sea, and then Lemon Lime Twist, Pool Party, and Lost Lagoon. So these are, I think, very similar layouts, except the cards look totally different. So these are just 2 ways that you can be inspired by the layout, changing things up a little bit, doing your own thing. Well, as I was looking for samples in the catalog of the layouts here on this page, I found that there were very similar layouts, especially here on this page. So on page 110, I thought, oh gosh, that kind of looks like our circle here, or even this one right here, but just with some modifications. So I took my pencil and I sketched out what I saw here in the catalog. So for example, this one has a layer behind the circle. And this is the pattern in here, but you could do it the opposite way and add the pattern at the top and the bottom. And so I just took my pencil and I kind of sketched and made some changes. And now I like this layout a lot more because it's more dynamic and not just sort of a cluster of images. Over here, we have another layout that I really, really love. It has an extra layer, a focal point, and some designer paper. And we've got all these tags here, and so I decided to turn this tag into the card layout. So I took my pencil and I just drew a card base around the tag. The tag is going to be my focal image. I'm going to add some designer paper back here. And now I have another card layout that I am inspired by the catalog. Once I started drawing on these samples, I couldn't stop. So here are the card layouts as they appear on page 24 with a few modifications. So I just took, actually used a black pen and some Stampin' Blends, the black and the gray, to color in and create my own version of the layouts from page 24. Can you spot all the changes I made? I added some strips of designer paper to this card. I created a card layout from the tag by adding a box around it and some designer paper. There's the one I did originally. I just added the 2 lines there. For this one, I added another layer of like designer paper or cardstock or something. And then I also added kind of a background. And you can have a darker strip and then your designer paper. So I encourage you to modify the card layouts, kind of make them your own. You're gonna have to wait now for me to come back from Florida. Maybe I'll take a picture of this and try to share it. I'll do that. I'll try to take a picture before I go and share my card layout modifications. So you can kind of do your own thing. And I hope that you do. You're welcome to copy what I'm doing, but play around, have some fun with a pencil. And draw. You could write right inside of your catalog, or you can, print it out like I did and draw on it. So lots of ideas, lots of inspiration. Start from these tag templates, but don't stop with just the card and the tag templates. We also have some amazing templates here for scrapbooking, and it doesn't have to be just for scrapbooking. Those are the same ones, sorry. It doesn't have to be just for scrapbooking. You can use these same templates for card making. And so our next card was inspired by this layout. Now, when I did the presentation with Meg and Mary Ellen, they were so fantastic. They did a scrapbook page for one of our 3 card layouts. I am not a scrapbooker, so I did not. I made cards and I made a little frame I'll show you on this last project here. But I made a card inspired by this scrapbook layout. So this layout has a couple different banners and squares. It also has some lines for journaling here at the bottom. And so I took that inspiration and decided to create a card using another new online exclusive. I used the Floral Impressions Suite, which includes some gorgeous designer paper. This flower paper has lots of different colors and lots of different petals. It also has some really great B-side patterns. This is only 4 sheets here. Oh, here we go. They got stuck in there. Beautiful flowers and botanicals here. This one's a little bit different from the similar designer paper in the annual catalog. I feel like this one has a little bit more detail to the flowers and they look a little bit more realistic. There's still illustrations, but this also includes a stamp set that has 2-step stamps. It's called Impressions of Bloom, and it has some coordinating dies. Not only dies to die cut the images, but also some detailed dies. So these dies are going to work really well on their own. You can die cut the detailed flowers, and they've got these great ovals. So they work well independently and also together. There's a pressed flowers embossing folder, some strawberry slush gems, and the foiled frames and labels, which I still need to play with. So today's card, inspired by the scrapbook layout, is going to use little bits of the designer paper. And this card layout is actually one of the 5 that I created for inspired by the annual catalog for my back pocket card layout exclusive limited edition for the new catalog. So if you participated in my product shares and did both the annual catalog share and the in color share, then you're going to receive this pouch. It says creativity is intelligence having fun. Inside are 5 back pocket card layouts with layouts and measurements and samples on the back. So 2 of the cards I'm sharing with you tonight are part of the back pocket card layouts, including this one with all the different banners and layers. Now, if you didn't participate in the product share, you're still going to be able to get these back pocket card layouts and this awesome project pouch. I was hoping to have all the details worked out before I left for Orlando, but it just didn't happen. So next week for Thursday Night Stamp Therapy, I will share the other back pocket card layouts and do some more stamping with you and share with you an opportunity for you to get your own pouch with those special edition back pocket card layouts. All right, let's get back to this card. I have chosen some patterns here that have some pretty blues and purples in it. And so I've cut some different pieces. And I also have a Misty Moonlight card base and another layer. This one is 4 by 5 1/4 to go on the front, and then some pieces to stamp our sentiment and to stamp and die cut the flowers. Now let's start with the background piece. Our original template had some journaling lines at the bottom, and so I thought it would be kind of fun to reflect those journaling lines with some scored lines. So I am going to score using my paper trimmer. I'm just going to score 3 lines, and I'm doing them about 1/2 inch apart. Actually, I'm going to do 1/4 inch, I think. So I started with, this is 1/2 inch from the bottom, and then 3/4, and then 1 inch from the bottom. So I've got 3 score lines there that sort of reflect, I think, the scored lines or the journaling lines down here at the bottom. So kind of bringing in that element. All right, now for our banners. I have that focal image, and this one is 2 by 3 inches. And this is going to be my rectangle. I'm going to cut the other ones into banners, but this one's going to be my rectangle. And I'm trying to look at my sample off camera. It's going to be kind of angled over to the side. Then I've got 2 purple banners. This one is 1 1/4 by 2 1/2, and this is 1 by 2. And all 3 of these, I'm going to cut a little banner tip on one end by cutting up the center and then cutting from each corner to the top of that center cut. I'll just go ahead and do all of my banners while I'm doing that. This is such a great way to get an easy banner tip, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. So if you want just a really wide banner, you can do that. This piece is 2 by 2 1/2 inches. So now I'm going to layer these all together. Let's start with that bigger purple one. And I'm going to tuck this one behind. I'm going to peel that up a little bit. I'm going to tuck this one behind over here and kind of, I want to angle them so that they all kind of work together. And we're going to overlap. This is a tear it up and move it where you need it kind of a card. We need to make sure we can see everything. All right, I think that's good. We are going to add this layer to our card with Stampin' Dimensionals. Next up, we're going to do some two-step stamping with the Impressions of Bloom. And I've got them all ready to go here. The colors I'm using are Garden Green, Misty Moonlight, Fresh Freesia, and Blackberry Bliss. Our sentiment is going to be Misty Moonlight, and I cut a piece of cardstock that is 3/4 of an inch to fit our sentiment. I'm also going to stamp the two-step flower. So for this one, I have a solid flower, and I'm going to stamp off on that to create a lighter version. Then I'm going to add the detail with the other die. Right on top. Look at that, it's pretty good. I'm gonna add a center. And then for our leaves, I'm gonna do the same thing with Garden Green. I'm going to stamp off, and I'll need 2 of them. And then the detail over the top with the same ink color. Lastly, I'm gonna do some small flowers, and this one I am just gonna use the Fresh Freesia. That's the lighter purple here, and then this one has some, oh, I just put my hand in it. No. It has the lighter color and then the darker Blackberry Bliss. I'm gonna add the detail. Oh, that did not line up so well, did it? Let's try again. Sometimes I think it's easier to do the light color second because you can see better through the image. Oh, we needed to do this in Blackberry Bliss. Right in the center. Okay. We are going to die cut with the coordinating dies. And thankfully there are 2 leaf dies, and there's also 2 centers that are different sizes. I like to use this Post-it labeling and cover up tape to keep my dies in place where I want them to be. And lastly, the flower. And this flower is so tricky. I'm going to send this through the die cutting machine. And let's put our card together. Don't want to lose my die, so those are going to go right back. All right, let's put our card together. I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals under the sentiment. And I'm going to add that first. I kind of put it overlapping those banners. Then I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals under the large flower. I'll use regular Stampin' Seal for the other flowers. This one's gonna tuck over there. And the leaves. Almost done. Now we need to add a little bit of bling. And I chose this set of two-tone sparkle gems. This came out in January or March with the Everyday Sky. I think it was the Everyday Skies. And I thought that this was such a good choice because of the purple and the blues. And I just feel like it brings out those colors so nicely. So I'm going to frame our sentiment with those two-tone sparkle gems. Let me show you our original inspiration. Do you remember it was the scrapbook layout that had the different banners? And so even though it is not a card layout, I was inspired to create a card that uses that same layout. There's those journaling lines again. Just sort of a little nod to it. Now this is a back pocket card layout, so I made a second version, and the other one uses the Cheers and Sips suite from the online exclusive celebratory sips, sorry. Celebratory slips. Celebratory sips. So how about a this or that? Which of these two cards do you prefer? Do you like the bright colors, the Darling Duckling or Daffodil Delight rather? Or do you prefer the blues and purple tones of the Impressions of Bloom card? Leave a comment and let me know this or that. Both of them are pictured on the back pocket card layout, and so if you get that pouch, you're going to have all the measurements there and pictures of both of those to inspire you. All right, let's move on because I love the templates in the catalog, but one of my favorite things to do is to look at the catalog and be inspired by the amazing samples. And so I turned to page 22 where it says, join the challenge. Creative challenges. SU is the hashtag that you can use to share your own amazing work. Well, of course, I gotta do my own spin on this. I encourage you to color and to draw right in your catalog on this page. That's what it's meant for. I took my own, I printed it out. I just took the PDF of the catalog and printed. I used some markers to color and create my own color combinations. In fact, you'll recognize maybe this color combination is the one that I used on this Thanks for Everything card. And the other ones I took from the color wheel and came up with color combinations that way. Well, in addition to the color combos, we have design mashup where it inspires you or asks you to choose 2 stamp sets and designer papers that you think might go together. And then right down here, there is an opportunity to test a template. You can turn your favorite card in the catalog into a template and then copy that template into your own card and save it for future use. So let me show you the third project that inspired our presentation and at that Peoria event. We turned here to page 58 And I'm obsessed with sketching cards, and so I sketched a whole bunch based on cards from the catalog, but it was this one right here that we were inspired by. So you can see this was the very rough sketch. I sketched it out, and it's got a card base with a diagonal element, and then a little sentiment there. So let me show you our third project that I shared at the Peoria presentation, and how I was inspired by this card in the catalog. Again, I'm turning to some online exclusive products, and I'm going to show you this birthday piggy or party piggy bundle, and we're going to create a little shaker card. I did some stamping ahead of time. I wanted to show you this coordinating die. You can use it or not. It is a 1.5 inch circle punch, but if you're going to do a shaker card, then you're going to want to create a little hole in your piggy's tummy. Now, I stamped in Calypso Coral on Petal Pink cardstock, and then I used a Petal Pink Stampin' Blend to color in different parts of the pig. So let me give this a quick die cut. Uh-oh. It shifted. I'm glad I caught it before it went all the way through. Okay. So we've got our cute little piggy and that fun little circle. We are going to also use the little shaker domes, the small circle shaker domes, and some of the loose shaker elements. You'll find these also in the online exclusives on the back page right here. And of course, you can use these loose shaker elements for anything. You can also use the small circle shaker domes to create some fun cards. But it is a little tricky because if you don't have the 1.5 inch circle punch or circle die from this set, or a previous 1.5 inch circle punch, you might find it tricky to create a window to fit the small shaker dome. But isn't this cute? I just love the adorable size of this die envelope, and it fits quite nicely right here inside the stamp set. I kind of love that. All right, let's bring out the other elements of our card. For this card, I am using a 3 1/4 by 4.5 inch piece of Darling Duckling cardstock. And then for the diagonal element, I'm using a piece of the Florals in Bloom, I think it's called, from the annual catalog, and I cut it diagonally. So it's the same size, 3 1/4 by 4.5, and then I just I cut from one corner to the other. I picked all my colors for the card right here from the designer paper. So I've got Calypso Coral for the card base, the Darling Duckling, and that cute little Petal Pink for the pig. All right, here's the circle that came out of the center. However, it is a little not going to hold anything in place. So you're going to want to also have a larger punch. I'm using a 2 inch circle punch, and that's going to completely cover the back of the pig. So if you want to make a shaker, I highly recommend adding that 2 inch circle punch. That's a little bigger than the hole that you created with the die. I also did my sentiment ahead of time. It's so cute. What's shaking? Bacon. For our shaker element, we're going to get out one of these small domes. Now this package comes with 12, so you'll be able to make lots of fun cards, and I'm sure that someone will come up with something clever. Like you could put 2 of those together and make a little ornament with shaker elements in it. That would be fun. So the die cut window fits that just perfectly. And then we'll cover up the back with the other circle. See how I mean the 1.5 inch circle isn't big enough to do anything. You could cut a second pig body and put that behind it, but I found the 2-inch circle punch just fit perfectly. Now the shaker domes do have adhesive on both sides, so you're going to take off the front and then you're going to put that, you're going to put that inside the die cut piggy. You can kind of nest that in there. Get the adhesive on. And then we're going to add some of the loose sequins. As many as you want. He's really having a party. And when you're ready, you're going to peel the adhesive liner off the back. And then add either another die cut piggy body or the 2-inch circle punch that fits perfectly behind the body. And that covers and seals the shaker element so that it doesn't spill out to the back. Got a lot of static going on right there. To avoid static, you can use your embossing buddy from the Embossing Editions toolkit, and that will help the static cling. You can just rub that on your dome before you add your elements. All right, let's get this card put together. It's a relatively easy layout. There's not a whole lot to it. In fact, when I did the back pocket card layout, I thought it's kind of boring. But I think it's still a fun idea to duplicate. And I should get the second card idea out. For this card, since we already have so much going on with the shaker, I'm just going to go ahead and use some Stampin' Dimensionals because it's already a non-machinable card. So what's a little bit more dimension, right? I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the rectangle. And add it to the card. Now, originally the card layout had the rectangle over there, but I want mine to scoot over to the other side because I want my sentiment to go over that way. So I need room for it to hang over. We got to attach our pig to the to its body. So I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue here. And that fits just perfectly. Then we're going to add some more liquid glue. And he's so cute. I just love our little party pig. I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals underneath the sentiment. And our card is almost done. Of course, we got to add some bling. There we go. What's shaken? Bacon. So cute. Let's bring in some more of that yellow. So I'm going to use some of the Darling Duckling flat pearls. These are good. I love these. They're new fave, and just kind of around that embellishment there, or the sentiment rather. Party Piggy, what's shaken bacon? Now you guys have to tell me, is this one on your list? I feel like a lot of people probably overlooked the cute little Party Piggy, but I think he's just so much fun, especially with that little shaker. And you can put anything you want inside. You could put some candy or some money, like a little piggy bank or something like that. I think it could be super cute. All right, where's my other sample of this card layout? Oh, I think I used the I used the boats again to create another card, and then I also created a frame. I told you in our original presentation, Meg and Mary Ellen made scrapbook pages for one of the layouts, but I don't scrapbook, so I did a frame instead. I think I shared this in another video when Mom and I featured this suite for our Sunday stamping video. I just finished putting together one for her for Mother's Day. I hope that she likes it. I used the the name is totally escaping me. The Florals in Bloom. What's the name of the Sweet Blooms, this stamp set with the flowers and the bloom. Let Joy Bloom. So we've got the diagonal element and the other parts, and it is kind of the same. So what do you think? This or that or the other one? I hope that you are inspired by this layout as well. And this is another one of the layouts in here in the back pocket card layout. So you'll have that, and I will share more details next week about how you can get your own Creativity is Intelligence Having Fun pouch with the new special edition back pocket card layouts. But for now, it is time for me to wrap it up. I shared 3 new card ideas using stamp sets from the May online exclusives. Be sure to check that out in my online store at juliedavison.com/shop. I hope that you feel inspired by all the ways that the annual catalog can inspire your creativity, whether you are copying card layouts, scrapbook layouts, or drawing your own layout. I hope that you find inspiration here. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed tonight's video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future card making videos. I've just finished pre-filming the Sunday video, and I think you're really going to love the clean and simple project I have to share for you. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, everybody.